Next, the most prominent characteristic that dominates quite a number of the rabbinic stories is sex, more precisely sexual promiscuity. Sexual promiscuity is already presented as the foundation story of the Christian sect. Its hero is the son of a certain Miriam and her lover Pandera, a mamzer, born out of wedlock because his mother was married to certain Stada or Papos ben Yehuda. The legal status of the bastard is divine in the Bible as such. No bastard mamzer shall be admitted into congregation of the Lord, even to the 10th generation shall he not be admitted into the congregation of the Lord. Deuteronomy chapter 23 verse 3. The fact that he shares with the Eliezer and the Ammonites and Moabites, he is excluded from the congregation of Israel for the foreseeable future. His adulterous mother deserves, according to biblical and rabbinic law, the death penalty of stoning or strangulation, as the Bible decrees for our case, the adultery between a married woman and her lover. If a man is found lying with another man's wife, both of them shall die. The man who lay with the woman as well as the woman, so you shall purge the evil from Israel. Deuteronomy chapter 22 verse 22. Hence, under strict application of biblical law, Jesus' mother should have been stoned. The Talmud does not seem to be interested in her subsequent fate, but her son does fall under the older provision of the mishnah idolatry and will indeed be stoned. So, in a highly ironical sense, Jesus' birth from an adulterous mother points to his own violent death. As we have seen, the story of the adulterous mother and her bastard son is the perfect counter-narrative to the New Testament's claim that Jesus was born from a virgin betrothed to a descendant of the house of David. Against the New Testament story, with its inherent inconsistency between husband and betrothed, the Talmud concocts its drastic counter-narrative of the adulteress and her bastard son, presumably from a Roman soldier, demonstrating the complete absurdity of any Davidic and hence messianic claim. As a bastard, Jesus belongs to the community of Israel only in a limited sense. One of the restrictions of his status implies that he cannot enter a legitimate marriage with a Jewish woman and father Jewish children, let alone found a congregation that claims to be the New Israel. The scourging attack on the Christian claim of parthenogenesis may well explain the use of the strange name Pandera, Pantiri in most of its variations from Miriam's lover and Jesus' real father in Greek as well as in rabbinic sources. The last derivation among all the possibilities that Meyer discusses, that he finds captivating at first glance but nevertheless dismisses, is the assumption of an intention of distortion of Parthenos virgin to Pantheros panther. This explanation first suggested by F. Nietzsche and followed by quite a number of scholars, is indeed more plausible than the derivation of porneia, fornication, who is biologically difficult Pandera as a corruption of pornos, porneia. In fact, it is the perfect deliberate distortion of the word Parthenos, since it is a reverse reading of letters R, Th, and N, Pantheros. So, but Yared is absolutely right in arguing that we encounter here is the well-known rabbinic practice of mocking pagan, of Christian holy names, by changing them pejoratively, such as Peneiela, face of God, they become Penekelev, face of the dog. But the punchline in our case is the reverse reading of the consonants within the Greek word, not by coincidence, following the magical practice of reading a word backwards, le mefrea, by changing Parthenos to Pantheros. The rabbis do not just practice a case of cacophemicism, rather they utter a magical spell or an exorcism and transform Jesus' birth from a virgin to that of a common Roman soldier named Panther. Mayer's major argument against this derivation, who could understand such a sophisticated pun, grossly underestimates the rabbis and the readers. All that we know from rabbis as well as from pagan sources point to the fact that unkind counter message to the New Testament, Miriam Mary was a whore and her son a bastard, was the Jewish answer to the Christian propaganda of the divine origin of Jesus. The other allusion in our rabbinic text to sexual promiscuity refer to the bad son, to the frivolous disciple, and to the understanding of Christianity as an orgiastic cult. The bad son, whose polish is put by leading an indecent life, turns out to be the true son of adulterous mother. According to the motto, what else could be expected from him? Again, this accusation may have been upholstered with the New Testament story of Jesus' acquaintance with the immoral woman, later identified with Mary Magdalene, or as with the Gnostic story of Jesus being the lover of Mary Magdalene of all women. With such a family history, no wonder that also the god-up student Jesus of a pious rabbi, Yehoshua ben Peraiah, gets silly ideas and insinuates to his teacher immodest thoughts, the notorious female hostess of an inn. But the rabbi indignantly rejects and therewith unintentionally brings about the birth of the Christian sect. And finally, the accusation against Rabbi Eliezer ben Hyrcanus of clandestinely practicing Christianity, which is understood as an orgiastic cult connected with prostitution. Here, we enter different territory. We are no longer dealing with Jesus himself, his origin, behavior, and faith, but with a prominent rabbi who becomes, as it were, the rabbi's prototype of an early Christian, modeled along the lines of sexual promiscuity and magic. Both sexual promiscuity and magic are often closely intertwined. I will return to the latter soon. The sexual misconduct vocab here is not that of an individual Jesus, but much worse that is that of his followers who indulge in sexual mass orgies. The adherents of Jesus' sect follow his advice to such an extreme that sexual orgies has become, so to speak, the trademark of the believers in Jesus. This accusation can be found early on in the pagan Christian literature, and it should not come as a surprise that Rabbi Eleazar was charged with it by the Roman authorities. It appears already in the Christian apologist Justin Martyr's dialogue with Trivo, written in Rome around the mid-2nd century CE. There, Justin addresses his Jewish interlocutors as follows. My friends, is there any accusation you have against us other than this, that we do not observe the law, nor circumcise the flesh as our forefathers did, not observe the Sabbath as you do? Or do you also condemn our customs and morals? This is what I say, lest you too believe that we ate human flesh, and that after our banquets we extinguish the lights and indulge in unbridled sensuality. Or do you only condemn us for believing in such doctrines and holding opinions which you consider false? Having first referred to the obvious and well-known distinction between the Jews and the new Christian sect, they do not circumcise themselves and do not observe the Sabbath. Justin gets to get Justin gets to talking about the slanders spread about that the Christians celebrate orgies during which they practice cannibalism and promiscuous sex. The Jew tripos brief answer, this last charge is what surprises us, replied Trifo. Thus other charges which the rebel lodge against you are not worthy of belief, for they are too repulsive to human nature. Reveals that these horrible slanders are indeed widespread, but that he does not take them very seriously. The subsequent discussion shows that he is mainly concerned about the Christian habit of not observing the Sabbath and the festivals and not practicing circumcision. Moreover, he seems to ignore the question of who is the originator of these slanders, or else takes the answer for granted and simply dismisses them as repulsive. However, later in the dialogue, Justin does not believe any doubt that he has the Jews responsible for the slanders, and you, the Jews, accuse him, Jesus, of having done those irrelevant, riotous, and weak things, of which you everywhere accuse all those who look up to and acknowledge him as the Christ, the teacher, and the Son of God. Not that the irrelevant, riotous, and weak things refer to the origins of cannibalism and sex mentioned earlier, and not that either that the Jews not only are presented here as the source of the slanders, but as those who spread it about the whole civilized world, sending out certain men chosen by vote into every part of the empire as official representatives, proclaiming that a godless and lawless sect has been started by a deceiver, one Jesus of Galilee. But what precisely is this strange ritual of cannibalism and sex? Tertullian, Justin's younger college, second half of the 2nd century CE, reports more graphic details in his apology, written 197 CE. He writes, we are said to be the most criminal of men, sceleratissimi, on the score of our sacramental baby killing and the baby eating that goes with it, sacramento infanticidi et pabulo in the, and the incest that follows the banquet, where the dogs are beams in the dark pursuit, and make a sort of decency for guilty lust by overturning the lambs. That, at all events, is what you always say about us, and yet you take no pains to bring into the daylight what you have been saying about us all this long time. Then I say, either bring it out if you believe all this, or refuse to believe it after leaving it uninvestigated. And where even more drastic is Tertullian's malicious parody of the alleged Christian ritual, in the following chapter, ironically inviting the Jewish interlocutor to join in the to join it with the Christians. Come, plunge the knife into the baby. Nobody's enemy, guilty of nothing. Everybody's child, or if that is another man's job, do you just stand by? That is all by this human creature dying before it has lived. Watch where the young soul as it escapes. Catch the infant blood. Step your breath into with it and enjoy it. Meanwhile, as you recline on your couch, recount the places where your mother, your sister, maybe make a careful dot so that when the darkness of the dark contriving shall fall, you can make no mistake. You will be guilty of a sin unless you have committed incest. So initiated, so sealed, you live forever. You must have a baby, still tender, that can know nothing of death, that can smile under your knife, item love, to catch its juicy blood at lampstands and lamps, a dog or two, or some sops to set the dog tumbling the lamps over. Above all, you must come with your mother and sister. This story, as Elias Bickerman has demonstrated in the famous article, is nothing but the anti-Christian adaptation of an originally anti-Jewish propaganda narrative that accuses the Jews of ritualistic cannibalism. Its most prominent anti-Jewish propagandist is Apion, the Greek scholar of Egyptian origin in the first century CE, Alexandria, who, according to Josephus, relates the malicious slander about the Jews capturing, fattening, slaughtering, and finally consuming the flesh of a foreigner Greek in a bizarre ritual. In our Christian fashion, that clandestine symposium consists of the two elements of cannibalism and sexual urges among the participants, most precisely in Tertullian incestuous sexual urges. The more detailed description in the second quotation from Tertullian, with the blood of the slaughtered child collected by the bread and then served by all the participants, is clearly parody of the wine and bread of the Eucharist. And the incestuous sexual orgy seems to be an infection of the Christian command to love one another. Hence, according to the early church fathers, the Jews take up a propaganda narrative that was originally directed against them and turn it into a powerful anti-Christian weapon with the declared goal to discredit the new sect once and forever. Ironically, in our Eliezer ben Hyrcanus story, it's the Jewish rabbis who adopt this anti-Christian propaganda and apply part of it to one of them to mark and eliminate him as the heretic.